We're the Chicago chapter of the Rainforest Action Network. We've teamed up with some of the community groups down in the neighborhoods of Pilsen and Little Village, and we're working to shut down the Fisk and Crawford coal-fired power plants that have been poisoning these communities and killing people for many years now. The symptoms that people suffer are things like a lot of upper respiratory problems, great things like asthma, and it pumps a lot of other stuff into the atmosphere like nitrous oxide, carbon monoxide, mercury, soot. The plants were first opened, I believe, around the turn of the century, early 1900s. The plants were last updated, actually, in 1958 and 1959. There are many safety regulations they are not following. They fit into this weird thing, the grandfather clause, where they don't actually have to update very much. So the safety standards that are in the plants, they're standards of 1959, not 2010.
26th Street is actually one of the busiest neighborhoods, especially on the weekends. Definitely you see families walking around and driving around just down 26th Street. Sometimes it gets so packed, like, traffic gets like behind. It just makes me wonder of how aware the neighborhood is about. I'm sure probably about 50% of them don't know about it and don't know how it's affecting their health or how it's contaminating the neighborhood. I know my dad has a lot of health issues. A lot of my relatives actually have health issues.
I was actually inspired by this project called Groundworks in New York City that happened, and if I'm correct, it was in the late 80s. And what happened was a proposed nuclear Navy base. Plans were being put in New York City. And no one was talking about it. The media wasn't talking about this. So they put stencils all throughout New York City, and they said, you are such and such miles, like 2 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles away from the proposed nuclear Navy base. But when they did the stencils, the media started paying attention, and this group actually invited the media television networks to come out with them and watch them put up these stencils. And then all of a sudden, this issue was all over the news. I wanted to create signs that looked like official signs, that looked like, that'd be city street signs. It's kind of the cover-up, because people are into the signs. They're like, oh, look at this graphic, look at this creative action. But we're trying to direct people towards the issue. You have to do your work. You have to do all the, putting up the signs is only part of it. Doing all the post-press releases, getting it out there, doing all the media is absolutely essential.
Not that many people in the community knows what those smokestacks are. They know they're there, they know they exist. People don't know what's coming out of there. They don't know that it's a coal-fired power plant. There's lots of areas outside of Chicago that are affected by this. I mean, air's not stagnant. This stuff spreads for miles and miles and miles, and we're all breathing this stuff in. It's not just the people in Pilsen Little Village, although they do suffer the worst health risks. It's not just a Chicago issue. It's not an Illinois issue. It's not just a Pilsen Little Village issue. It's a world issue. We need to completely transition away from fossil fuels, mainly coal. Coal is an old, dirty form of energy that we no longer need to be using.
Little Village and Pilsen area is the most densely populated neighborhoods in Chicago, so it affects much more people down here. It's a park that's right by Fisk. It's maybe a block or two away. It's a park that has after-school programs as well.
None of the power actually is used for Chicago. It's sold on the open grid. Most of it goes out to Ohio and Pennsylvania. Lavejo, Little Village Environmental Justice Organization, and PERO, Pilsen Environmental Rights and Reform Organization, are both mainly Spanish-speaking environmental justice groups, and they've been fighting these plants for probably over a good 10 years now. They've been doing their best to inform people what these plants are and what it's doing to them and their families, and working to get these things shut down.
It's definitely a word that needs to be spread around and kind of let the neighborhood know that, we shouldn't allow this to happen and how people take advantage of it.